Welcome to the Conversation Factory.
Amazing.
Thanks for making time to do this, Zach. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay. What do you tell people you do when you have to talk to them at the parties? Because that's and which is, by the way, a terrible way to start a conversation. Usually, oh, what do you do? Like, there's some people who that's their reflex. It's not the best.
I definitely don't try to like back my way into it. I don't go like, oh, I help people build communities, and then like people just go, what does that mean?
Right.
Because they have to ask that question. I usually just straight up say, I'm a startup founder. I build a B2B SaaS company that then I say, and then helps people build B2B SaaS communities. So I try to just be super upfront about it. It's one of those, I hate saying like I'm a founder. Like it doesn't feel right. I don't know what it is. It feels like an ego thing. Like to say you're a founder is like, oh, wow, so cool, so noble. But I'm like, no, I really had to build this thing.
Yeah.
And that's the title that they give you.
So you go straight for the facts, but there's an internal like, oh, it feels weird to claim founder, although you are in fact the founder and CEO.
And it's very odd to say like, for a long time I used to say I'm starting a company, but that's not true anymore. Now I'm running a company.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do catch myself still saying I'm starting a company because it never feels like you're not. Like we have a small team now and I'm like, it still feels like I'm always starting the company. You know, I came from Salesforce. That's an 80,000 person company when I left. That was like, I mean, in my head, that's what like the size of a company is, but that's not true. That's a massive company.
Yeah, it's a massive company.
Right.
Not a startup anymore.
Absolutely. So I think it was just kind of one of those like, okay, I am always starting a company. I've come to realize that.
Yeah.
And when I say starting a company, people assume I just started this thing, but yeah, that's not the case.
Right, which is why you don't say like I'm starting a company. I'm building a company.
I say I run a small team basically. Yeah.
What do you ask people when you meet them at an event or a party? Like what's your opener?
Well,
where to start a conversation is always like an interesting question.
The first thing I always ask somebody is, what's your story? That's the first question I always ask.
Yeah.
Because it says, I want to know who you are, but I don't want to give you exactly what I want to know.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you find people respond? Because I actually like, tell me your story or what should I know about you? I ask sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes people find these sort of like open-ended question a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
They don't know. They're like, what do you mean? So, do you ask it in a way that I don't ask it? Where sometimes
I'd say like half the time I get, "What's my story? Oh, where do I start?" Right. That's so common. That's the answer I get. But then people kind of like stop, pause for a second, and go, "Oh, he's asking me one, either where I came from, how I got here, what I'm doing right now."
Yeah.
Like, and it kind of gives them whatever they want to be able to tell me about. And usually people have things that they want to tell other people about. You know, you don't walk in a room and somehow there's something on your mind all the time, right?
Yeah,
so it gives that person the luxury of, if they're open, and I meet some people where 20 seconds in, they're telling me like their top problem. And I'm like, that's awesome.
That is
now
awesome.
we can jump right into it.
Do you offer any help for them when they say like, oh my God, what is my story? Where should I start? Do you say, start at the beginning or start in the middle or, well, tell me the end? I mean, like...
I usually say start where it's most interesting. And then again, it's another open question.
Yeah.
They get to choose. But no one thinks they lived a boring life in some way, right? Like some people do, but everybody has something where they can say, oh, there's something that I can tell you about.
That is actually, I mean, I think that's a very pro-social perspective. I definitely remember being at a party and this guy was like, oh, well, what do you do? Because he'd asked me, and I like to be pro-social. And I was like, well, what do you do? He's like, oh, it's really boring. I was like, oh, I mean, everything's interesting. He's like, I work in finance, and he like listed out a bunch of words that just like turned into like a high-pitched.
Yeah, right.
I was like, okay,
yes,
you're bored by it.
Derivatives. Tell me more. Yeah.
But he was bored by it.
Yeah.
And so he thought he was boring, so obviously it's hard to tell a story that's exciting if you think it's...
But that's the thing that I don't ask what you do, or I try to avoid it, because I do think there's a lot of people that do think what they do is boring, but guarantee you that guy trades comic books, you know?
I mean, that's not boring.
I'm just saying there's something about that guy that says, I wanted to make a lot of money so I could do X, Y, and Z, and so...
Right.
There's some, you know, I think a lot of people have something to prove,
Right.
and he's got something that he's doing.
Right, right. So his job may not be the most interesting thing about him. So his story could be like,
I
well,
hope not.
I do finance full time, but like my hobby is blank. Like,
Have I met truly boring individuals?
yes,
Yes.
You go to a lot of events, so your chances are higher.
I have actually met people where I'm like, I really can't. I'm just like trying to coax out of them something where I'm like, I need to get out of this conversation. But very, very rare.
Very rarely.
Very rare.
Well, so there's a couple things I want to accomplish today, and I'm going to follow your lead more than like, because we know each other in the context of Fabric, and we can talk about Fabric. We can talk about the Founders Forum, but like most of what happens in those conversations is bound by the Chatham House rules. So I want to be careful not to like ask you any leading questions.
The Chatham House rules on camera. Yes. Carry on.
Yeah, well, but you know what I mean. It's like
I
those
get
conversations. He said pointing over to the other room where we usually have the
Yeah.
So those conversations are confidential. So there's some things I'm curious about.
I mean, yeah, but you can ask me, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to bring up what others have brought up.
No, totally.
Hence the
Well,
Chatham House
okay,
rules.
that's fair. That's fair. I'll ask you your question, which is like, well, tell me your story.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, let me make sure. How do you ask it? Like, because I think intonation and inner intention matters. So when you say, "What's your story?" you're saying, "So what's your story?"
Definitely. What's your story, dude?
Or you're like, "Oh, what's your story, man?" Like,
No, I think I
how
say
does
it
Zach
as
say it?
benign as possible. I go, "Hey, nice to meet you. What's your story?"
Okay.
And just get into it.
Because you're an easy-going guy, easy to talk to,
And I
like,
love a straight face.
Yeah, sure. So okay.
Nothing like
All
a
right.
straight face.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
What's your story?
What's your story?
Is that close?
Just you even had more intonation than I give it, but
Yeah, no.
close.
Okay.
Close. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we have the Jewish singing song.
I play a little too
I know.
high, yeah.
I've been fighting it my whole life.
So new.
Yeah, I try to at least stop with the hand motions until about 30 seconds in, you know. But I do. Where do I start?
Where do you start your story?
I mean, it's so funny. I'm a boring guy. No, I'm kidding. Right? That would be. No, I think I start my story. I usually and this is the fun thing, right? And I kind of know what I want to tell someone, but like if I was, meeting somebody and it was work related, I know that they want me to actually get to the work related stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm not at a work related event and I have to answer that question, I go, I kind of tell like how I came to be. I was born in LA. I grew up in Denver. I went out to Berkeley for school. I, ended up in computer science, went to San Francisco because who didn't get sucked into it? And then said, you know what? I got to go try something new. Because there's no good reason to leave San Francisco if you're in tech. And I was like, I got to move to something. And so I thought I would go to Berlin. That was in early 2020. That didn't pan out. And then I was like, all right, New York is going to do.
And here we are. So let's talk about why you started the company you started. And I'm also curious about this transition. My friend Alyssa Cohen, who I had on my podcast a while back, wrote a book called From Startup to Grown Up. And I think you're definitely in this interesting transition from like the purely existential. I mean, as you were saying, like every day in a startup is existential, I think. But there's this moment where you're like, okay, well, we have customers, we have a model, and now we have a team. It's a very different situation when it's just you and your co-founder, or it's just you.
I mean, I think the reason we started this company versus any other company is I really wanted this kind of company to exist. I think I wanted to build something where I was like, okay, this is a company where I wake up and I go, this is actually kind of doing good.
Yeah.
This is actually a business where it sits in that realm of like the good side of business, and it proves that you can do business in a good way and still make money. I could have built an AI dev tool, and we would, have caught some crazy wave, and I'd be waking up every morning and just diving deep into the chaos of like, oh God, what am I doing? And I didn't really want to do that.
Yeah.
I think it was one of those, like, seeing the AI wave, I was like, I definitely want to build a company, but I really love people.
Yeah.
And it was going to be a painstaking journey to build a company that I felt like disagreed with some of my like moral beliefs. And so I was like, okay, how do I, in a weird way, this is like what a lot of founders almost call their second company, right? They have the luxury to go and build that second company, the one they always wanted to build. And I was like, what if I tried to go build my second company first?
I think that's very, very bold. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of TightKnit. It was this, I knew B2B community. I really wanted to help build more community in the business landscape. And I was like, okay, there's an op here to do so. And I knew it from working in it for years at that point.
Yeah.
The innovation had stalled completely. Honestly, it's even crazy to watch like the way that I think, in my opinion, companies are trying to layer on AI. And I still think it's stalled. It's funny to say, like, I think these AI features, they're cool to show in a demo, but when I think a lot of them are not working in practice, if that makes sense. And I think that's it takes like, this is one of those things where people are like, oh, couldn't you just vibe code TightKnit? I'm like, you could. You could totally build all the tech. You could probably try to get other people to buy your tech. They might not trust what you've built, but there is so much learning into like what human behavior you kind of have to pick up over years of like, why don't people do X, Y, and Z when this happens, right? Like, what is creating a barrier for them to entry? I think the whole area of human behavior is going to have to be a growth side of the business world, because it's also why I think enterprise sales is a fantastic job to get now. What an amazing like relationship building job at a company. Like, your job is to build relationships. That's your literal job. And then you sell business as a side gig, right? Like, if you can build a relationship, it's very easy to sell. That's kind of the new stance that I have, is like, okay, I think if you're an engineer, you maybe go look at sales. Go sell a really technical product. Because there's a lot of sales folks who have been in it that can't sell that product as well as you can, maybe. You understand it.
Yeah. So I feel like we should talk like maybe a slightly more meta level on the like why community is a business or an advantage for businesses, and also just like fundamentally essential and important, because I think you're a people person, but I think there's also people who need people are all the people. And creating community around a product or a brand is maybe the only advantage.
It's definitely one of the biggest, right? I have to look it up. I feel like this is like a Charlie Munger quote or something like that. But there's a quote that says, you know, all things equal, people like doing business with their friends.
Yeah.
And so build a great product and make a lot of friends. And I think that same mentality to business goes, look, we're watching every month a new Claude or OpenAI update that beats the next one, eliminates the next layer of engineers at the bottom tier, and is just eating up layer by layer of the engineering stack. So you start to go, okay, is technology as big of a moat as it used to be? No, especially in the B2B app space, which is mostly object-oriented, very simple in its algorithmic kind of state. AI is very good at building B2B apps, we've learned. And that means now everybody can build tech. So if everybody can build tech, then who's going to win? Well, it's this, I call them this conductor. And this is kind of the back to the community space. It's somebody who understands the tech, is a builder at heart, right? Can build, but is really good at building a following, and is really good at deeply understanding a problem so much that people know that person understands that problem deeply and goes, I don't want to vibe code this thing. I want to put my money into somebody that understands it so deeply that I'm actually getting a higher return on investment of anything I could build myself. Because they're going to give me answers that I didn't even know I needed. Because they're going to be thinking about this day in and day out.
Well, I mean, you're speaking something that's very important. You know, one of my first lives or second lives, I don't know, was in user experience design, and you just live in edge cases and think about interaction models and information architecture. And I think someone can build sort of like, oh, I want this to do that, or I want this data connect to that data and make a dashboard or something, and that's very exciting for them.
Yeah.
But for someone to think elegantly through everything, and for someone to go, oh my God, I didn't even know I needed it to do that, and it does, is magical. But I think there's another piece here that you're pointing to, which is like, TightKnit builds on Slack.
Yeah, we do.
And you could just vibe code Slack.
Totally.
And integrate all the things that you think an online digital community should have. But I think you're also pointing to the reality that like Slack has a huge install base.
Yep, it's in your pocket.
It's in your pocket. It's in my pocket.
Yeah.
And it's where people already are for business communities. And so why build something? It's hard to get business customers to it's hard to get anybody. I don't know what metric you put on it. I think it's like it's got to be twice as cheap and like twice as easy. Plus something else. Like switching is hard. It's hard. It'd be hard to go to a company and say, yes, this does everything, and this, and this, and it's cheaper, and they still would be like, well.
I mean, it's this field of dreams problem.
Yeah.
Oh, I went and built this amazing, come to my restaurant. It's incredible. And the first question he goes, where is it? It does sometimes it doesn't matter how good the food is. It just matters, can I get there?
Yeah.
And I think that most people don't think about, same with software, location.
Yeah.
I mean, it is our mantra, our tagline is meet your members where they are. I actively do not try to build software that pulls your members out of where they want to be.
Yeah.
People get this confused all the time. They think I wanted to build a community platform for Slack. No, I did the research and I said, oh, actually people want to be in Slack.
Yeah.
So I want to be where they are.
Yeah.
So I built a platform in Slack. I think the reason that I got to Slack had nothing to do with me going, oh, I'm obsessed with Slack and Slack is the future. And it didn't start like that. It started with most people agreeing that Slack is the central forum for business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I wanted to be the merchant hanging out in the central forum and selling to people where they actually were.
Yes.
And so I was like, okay, that same location mentality is so important. I run into so many customers, especially, I think there's one of, you've seen that meme at least, where it's like the people at the very beginning, and then it kind of goes through this chart. You got the overthinker, and then it comes back down, and you end up with the genius who kind of ends up at the same level as the beginning. This is very related to community building. In that there's a lot of folks that start on Slack. It's very common. Very new community builder, very commonly starts on Slack. They go, Slack is not the right community platform for me. It's missing X, Y, and Z.
Right.
They hit this new phase. They've learned what they want. They go and they try to jump to another platform.
Right. I'm going to use Circle. I'm going to use Discord.
Yes. Name a competitor of ours. Go for it. There are many of them that work if you're going for people that live in those worlds. But if you're trying to, again, meet your members where they are, and make it as frictionless as possible to be a part of their day-to-day lives, you end up in this situation where, you've started to over-engineer when you forgot that the real feature that is kind of the unaccounted for feature of a platform is how close am I, the location element of it. And then, so we get into, I'd say 25% of our customers are customers that left Slack and regretted it and want to come back.
Wow.
And so it's this beautiful journey of doing it scrappy, falling into it, thinking that this is the right answer, and realizing it's all just about being scrappy and meeting your members where they are.
Yeah. Right now, there are obviously some pluses and minuses to being an add-on to a platform. There's some things you don't control.
Right.
But it sounds like for you, the rational choices, the install base, the habit people have, Slack has just won the hearts and minds and pocketbooks of so many companies. That's where professional conversations are happening already.
And I mean, it's so here's a good way to put it. Like, people call us an add-on all the time, but if I told you, like, okay, what are the top? I love this.
By the way, sorry if that's I didn't mean to.
No. We hear it all the time.
Yeah.
And we are almost an add-on. I like to say we're an add-on that gives you full enterprise community capabilities.
Yeah.
And we charge that way too, right? We have a low plan that starts for kind of smaller customers, but we can actually support, your top B2B SaaS businesses.
Yes.
But here's a good example of like another add-on. Honey is what I used, 4 or 5 years ago. Coupons and all the things online and digitally. Yeah. And the thing that I then ask is like, okay, was there another couponer? And I couldn't really think of one that wasn't a Chrome extension. Every single one of them was a Chrome extension. Yeah. And you start to go, it had to be a Chrome extension. Sure. Because that's how I shop. And you start to go, okay, how do I communicate? Well, that's in Slack and WhatsApp and text. And I go, oh, that's where the community has to be in some sense, because I live there. And anytime that someone makes a community outside of that, they're putting the onus on me to have to go to them. It's so frustrating. I get so frustrated when people
I can hear it in your
think
voice.
that I want to go to their community when I haven't ever been before, and they're saying how great it is, and I have to just crawl through the mud with my logins and my emails, and I'm like, I have enough emails, I have enough logins. My 1Password is a mess. It's everything, and now I have to do one more, and I have to remember your URL.
Yes.
It's like there's so many things that I feel like, why did you, like, it depends on the community, of course. Yeah. But sometimes it feels a little rude.
Well, so we have our friend in common, Carrie Melissa Jones.
Yes, who quoted you in her post about our CLG. I was obsessed with that.
I know, Carrie's the best. I did like a 3-part interview with her because she obviously is a wonderful authority on community.
Oh my God, I've been using that, all her little ideas on that post. I've been like, I'm stealing this and stealing that.
She's got good language, and she did talk about this physicality of the onboarding, the whole customer journey, and I think it sounds like you also have a very strong mental model of the piping, the levers, the sort of the force fields that are guiding community, and maybe we can talk briefly about what your mental model is about community, that why people, what some of the mechanics are of how you think about community that the sort of normal tools don't do that help make community actually a community.
I mean, I try to.
He said putting his fingers together.
Oh, yeah, right. Do
for those people not on video,
narrate our hands? You and I are hands talkers. How do you do an audio podcast?
I know.
Oh my God.
There will be clips. So.
Oh, okay. So I would say I usually tell founders to chase the problem, not the solution. That's like my number one rule. Is like, you got into this business to solve a problem. You're getting into solutioning very quickly, I can tell. And what if you took a step back and said, let's go chase the problem. Let's go find the problem. You have half of it. Let's go find the whole thing. And so I think that's the thing that really helps, especially if you're building a product community. And this is the thing, there's different types of communities, right? And there's different goals with each one. But I run into a lot of product builders, and these product builders are chasing a problem. And so I say, build around that problem. Sure. Go and teach people about it. You have two choices. Either you're an expert and you can teach people, or you better know the experts. Sure. And you better be able to bring those people in to talk about the problem. And so that's one of the best ways to start a community is to go and create a space or a piece of content that is kind of an amalgamation of all the things around the current state of that problem. And so go find 3 people that are experts and say, hey, I'm going to set up a webinar. I really want to discuss this key problem in this key area. I'm going to do all the work. I'll send you the assets so you can share it to your social. We'll make clips for you. And you give them enough time as well to do it. And you really promote it in all the right channels, and you try to find people that are interested in that problem. And it better be an interesting problem that people care about, because that's what gets them to come to your event.
Sure.
And that's a good way to start it. Or you build a piece of content
Sure.
around that. So you've interviewed people, you've written a piece, you've created a video, and that is another great way. So it does start a little bit with this whole audience building, right? I do think there's a difference between an audience and a community, but it's very helpful to have an audience in order to build a community. It's that first layer of trust that you know what you're talking about, or you know people that do know what they're talking about. That's a big one. And then once you can get past that layer, you kind of have to evoke the what's next. Like by the end of that piece of content or the end of that webinar, if people aren't asking follow-up questions, you haven't found the right problem.
Yeah.
That's not a problem worth solving then. But if people have follow-up questions and they want to learn more and they want to discuss that problem and they have things to say about it, that's a great community.
Yeah, then there's energy. It's not a push. There's a pull.
Yeah, and right. It's not just products, right? It can be about roles. It can be like we run into a lot of communities that are built around like a role, an identity. We have a lot of, especially Americans more than anybody, have a lot of identity in the role that we have at work.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of communities built around that. There's virtually a community. I've run into almost everyone for every single role, and if it doesn't exist, go start it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who love that job and they want to be able to discuss best practices. So anyway, that's my, like, starting from scratch, very beginning. A lot of people get into like, this is so funny, being a platform that sells gamification and all these onboarding things. I'm like, that's great. I'm step 2. I really am step 2. Like step 1 is proving this is a real community worth building. Step 2 is choosing the platform that fits the community that you want to build around.
Yeah. And then
Too many people start the other way around. They start with the platform and they go, why are my chefs not joining Slack?
Right.
And I go, look, you should never have chosen me for your chef community. Chefs are in Instagram.
Yeah.
Go to WhatsApp. A lot of them are international. Like, what are you doing on Slack? But if you're building a community for B2B SaaS marketers and you're in, Discord, and most of them maybe are 35, 40, primarily female audience, you should not be in Discord. It's like you really gotta meet your members where they are.
Yeah. So it sounds like, in a way, the initial spark has to be based on something real and durable, like a real desire for people. But then there's the second part, which is like the mechanics of onboarding and connecting people. And Slack doesn't help people connect. It's just threaded messages.
Right. I mean, it is a tool that humans use to connect with each other.
Yeah.
It is just a tool. It's the phone. It's whatever we can do to connect with it. Like, since the beginning of time, every time there is a new piece of communication tooling, we kind of level up in some way.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it just always happens where once we could have carrier pigeons for the first time, we could warn each other about incoming hordes, right? Like, what a wild concept that was.
Totally wild.
Oh my God, I know when the soldiers are going to hit the fortress. Oh, crazy. But every step we keep going up and up. But at the end, it's always just humans.
People like to talk.
Yeah, cave art was, watch out for the cliff at the edge of this. You're not going to see it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's all sorts of little communication habits that we've formed over a million years.
Yeah. And we can leverage that we can make certain things easier and make certain things harder. So we only have a little bit more time, which is shocking.
Wow, look at that. Oh, we got like...
We're chit-chatters.
Yeah, we got 15 minutes.
We got 15 minutes. So like one of the things that I really wanted to talk about is that, there's the what you're building and the problem you're solving, but then there's the who you're building with. And that's sort of like, they say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I feel like I literally saw a Reddit post where somebody was like, oh, is it worth finding a co-founder? And a lot of the people on the thread were like, no, it's just so much, just hire people and own everything yourself.
Yeah.
And then one person's like, well, actually, it's really hard to get someone to care as much as you do about this problem. And so I think there is this idea that obviously other people are hard.
Yes.
But also when there's a situation where working with another co-founder can be exponential.
Absolutely. I mean, just like, I went to the Grand Canyon 2 weeks ago, hiked in the Grand Canyon. I would have had a very different mindset walking into completely no signal for a day and a half if I knew that I didn't have somebody there to help me and to lean on. And when they're gone, like Steven, my co-founder, who's been with me since the beginning, it's very nice to be able to bounce these ideas off of and to ask when even the answer, to be able to just validate, like, is this the right thing to do?
Yeah.
Because while Claude is very good at like helping you solve an answer, this comes back to why community is never going to go away. AI is incredibly good at transactional experiences. I need something solved. I need a problem answered. I need something. But when I don't know the right answer, and it's not a fact, it's more of a advice. It's not particularly good because it's going to. It can't say these words. From my experience, I think you should do this.
Right. Right. What's important about that to you? Say more about that. That's really interesting.
I don't trust an AI to have my best interests.
Yeah. It's funny because you can ask it to be slightly less sycophantic, which I did recently when I was starting up a new skill in Gemini.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, by the way, like, going forward, can we give me feedback in this way? And it was like, great point.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving me feedback about my feedback. I'm like, tone it down, buddy.
Yeah.
Like,
God, what a loser. And it's
Exactly.
okay. And you know what's so funny? People get this bothers me. If I call AI a loser, there's about 10% of the room that goes, "Don't do that."
Yeah.
And that concerns me, actually, because obviously it's a joke. I could never attribute. I'm not calling your computer a loser. You wouldn't be offended by that.
Sure.
It's just a computer. It's just a machine. There's this problem of treating a machine that is algorithmic by nature.
Sure.
That is being trained to feel and sound human.
yes.
And as soon as you start to go question that, and you start to question, is it an algorithm? And you start to go, maybe if I do call it a loser, it will be offended.
So in a way, like, it sounds like you're saying, like, with Steven, you can complain, you can yell. I mean, but he's a person, so you have
He's
to
a
treat him.
person. He's a human being. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He has good opinions. He has real opinions formed from like
Yes.
his experiences,
So-
and he has my
yeah.
best interest in mind. I know that.
Right, which is real. You and Steven have what we would describe as an actual human relationship where he disagrees with you sometimes and agrees with you other times. And that actually
Yeah.
makes you trust him more.
Yes, totally. It's like you said, it's this sycophancy of like trying to make me happy in the weirdest way of like, oh
Yes.
yeah, if you really insist, then I'll go with what you suggest.
Well, so how do you two manage? I mean, because I guess my mental model is, given that you have a certain view of community from like the mechanics perspective,
Yeah.
things a system must do. Like when you think about the system that is you and Steven doing this thing together, what do you think are the structures and systems that make it possible for you to get through difficult conversations, or do you just vibe code it? You know, is there a way you look at it or think about it, talk about it? Are there structures and systems that you have to work through some of these things?
Oof, that's a good question. I don't know if I could even properly explain it. He and I have known each other for a decade, so that there's a lot of just like unspoken trust of like, you know, the long-standing relationship elements to things. We kind of like know when to back off of each other in some ways. Like he knows when something needs to get done, and he knows like, okay, Zach has some reason this is important, and I should probably help him go accomplish it. And I know when Steven says like, no, we really do have to do this before all the other stuff. I go, okay, let's try to find a way to fit it in. But I don't know if, you know, and I think it's all back to communication and being able to like have that trust to be able to speak to others. But I couldn't put probably a finger on the pulse of how it actually works with the two of us.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So there's a couple of things to peel apart there. One is, it sounds like you're talking about, one of my favorite stories is when they were building Woodstock. They ran out of time and money. And
Yes.
there was this sort of like, okay, we can either build a stage or a fence. And it's like, if we build a fence and no stage, we can charge for the show, but there's going to be no show. And if we build the stage, there'll be a show, but we're going to lose a lot of money.
And they built the stage.
They built the stage and had one of the best shows ever. And maybe they didn't make as much money as they could. But
There was not a second one, was there?
I mean, there was Woodstock,
But you know what I
which
mean,
was
right?
terrible.
You know, this is a different way to put it in some ways. Like, would you rather be, there's some companies out there that have more impact than their revenue. I think about Wikipedia a lot.
Sure.
I think Wikipedia is like a company that I admire.
Yes.
What an incredible story. Yes, people made some money on it, but not that much money. No one is a billionaire because of Wikipedia.
But not like democracy damaging money, which is fine.
No, if anything, what an incredible feeling to be able to have educated the world, right?
Totally.
And I think those are choices you make. You can build
Correct.
You can build companies that make more money than their impact. You can also build companies that make more impact than their money. And it goes back to the same thing with Woodstock. I mean, here's one way to look at it. Like, they might not have made that much money, and they probably could have made more money, and none of us would be ever talking about that concert for the rest of our lives.
The reason I brought this up is that it sounds like you and Stephen have what I think is the sort of like stage or fence conversation of like, what is actually the thing we need to do first? Stephen's like, no, Zach, I know you think this thing is important, but this thing is actually slightly more important. And so it sounds like you do have conversations regularly about what goes first, what goes second, what needs to wait, what needs to happen now. And it sounds like some of that is just through trust and listening a little bit more deeply to somebody's reasons.
I think Stephen also knows I am an obsessive voice piece for our customers.
Yeah.
A little bit too much at times.
Sure.
But like, I obsess over how many features we're building that were from our customers, not from us. And I think that's always the right way to build. Mm-hmm. And I think is like again, it goes back to the conductor. Mm-hmm. Your job is to be an incredibly good listener and synthesize all of this into a product. You have to have good taste. You have to be able to actually take 5 ideas and understand it's just one with like a few toggles and be able to turn that into something meaningful. And I think that's hard. It's something you kind of learn over time of like when to say not no, but kinda.
Sure. So if you were to write a manual for how like to take the best aspects of how you and Stephen work through the what should we do now versus what should we do later conversation, when you hit friction, what do you think is the sort of like the mantra or the steps?
When you hit friction, I think you do have to take a quick second and a step back and say, okay, if we do solve this problem, is it going to meaningfully help our customers move things forward? Mm-hmm. And then if we don't solve some technology platform problem, is it the same with the flywheel? Can I trace it back to the problem? Can I say that if I don't solve this, it's actually going to become our biggest problem? Or is it going to, if I solve this now, is it going to save the team 10% productivity for a year?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like 2 things I heard, which is really interesting, which is like when you feel friction, slow down a little bit, which is great. It's like a signal to say, okay, wait a minute, we think differently here.
Yeah.
It sounds like the second step is then to say, bring in a little bit of objectives and key results here.
Yeah.
And say like, what is the real impact?
Don't
of this?
overthink 2-way doors. There's that one-way door and 2-way door thing.
Yeah.
identify them quickly if this is something you can undo later.
Yes.
And then make really, really quick decisions on two-way doors.
Yes.
And think long and hard about, is this one-way door going to be the right move for us? I can tell you, like, we are a community platform built for Slack. I don't know if that's forever, right? We've always used Slack as, why don't we take the stairs instead of climbing the mountain? That has always been the attitude for us, but we're still hitting the top. And I know that we're going to have features and platform functionality that don't have anything to do with Slack one day.
Yes.
And I think that's the one-way door that we say, okay, how are we building around this solution, knowing where we're still going at the end? We had multiple doors to get there when we decided, let's take the stairs.
Boy, it's so funny. Just as like a tiny little side note, one of the things that I learned as a facilitator, running offsites and, team gatherings, it's like literally getting people from one room to another is hard. Like, people are not like, even in Zoom, it takes a time to get somebody from one digital room to another. And even if everybody wants to go from Slack to someplace else, they say, yes, I'd like to go to that other room, they're going to get lost in the hallways. Like, you're going to lose, this is why if it's something you're thinking about, you're like, people are like a fluid, it's like there's a lot of friction in the fluid.
Always friction in tech. To get anybody into tech has a lot of friction. And so again, why make more than less,
Yes.
That's always, Slack is not easy for some people. It's one of the easiest apps in the world.
Yes.
And yet it's still not easy for everyone.
Correct.
And I hear it all the time. I'm like, oh, I'm not sure our audience is going to be, like, we have an older audience, and I'm not sure they're going to be able to get into Slack. And I'm like, your alternative is easier? And then they start to go, I guess you're right.
You're right, yeah.
And so this is a very funny reality of almost all software. You're trying to pick the best of the worst in almost every category. Most of us wish we could just live our lives and software solves the problems for us. That's the dream of what AI is supposed to solve.
Boy, I gotta say, you're the most optimistic pessimist I've ever heard. This is really amazing. Like,
I mean, that is kind of what I am. I am an optimist. I actually do really believe that AI is going to solve immense problems, create immense problems, and then solve them again.
right, but there's this like fundamental, I wouldn't say Jewishness of your like, well, things are hard.
Totally. I mean, it's 100% oh, shit's gonna get bad. It's always going to be better in the long run.
Yeah.
It's one of those, we don't realize that as time has gone on, the problem is that our ability to communicate has actually created this weight on us. But the whole world, everybody is getting a little bit better step by step. And we just can't see it because we're so in it. We can't watch grass grow.
Yeah.
And that's exciting to me as an optimist. But the pessimist is that the lawnmower keeps coming out, right?
Yeah.
And so it's hard to see it because it's growing taller.
Yes.
But every once in a while, patches form.
So we really, you're going to have to go in moments. We have like probably time for one more question. And I would love to see if I can squeeze any other co-founder dynamic wisdom from you, because I know you've talked about like the different roles you and Stephen have in terms of like the driver or the creative or the visionary or the dreamer or the doer. Like, I don't know how you would sort of like think about how the two of you work and how you fall into those roles, and if you intentionally try to step out of them in any way. Or
I mean, Stephen and I have very different personalities. I'm a outgoing little butterfly of like trying to meet as many people as possible.
Butterfly.
I'm a butterfly.
Yeah.
And he is a thinker. I speak before I think, and he thinks before, he thinks first. Yeah. And we get frustrated with each other, right? Because of that, we have very different approaches to solving a problem. But at the same time, we're coming at it from two very different lenses. So what's nice is we have way more surface area of understanding a problem. If I was working with another yes man founder, because I'm a yes man, I love to say yes, that would be very tough for me because we would conflict on what to say yes to all the time. There'd be too many ideas on the board. There'd be so many things that we would be fighting over because we would both want to be the yes man.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things to find a co-founder that is going to complement you, and to be able to be, we both want the same wins, we just solve it in different ways.
Do you think you've learned to not just value his cognitive style? Do you feel like you've learned to play the other side of, if we talk about the sort of deep generative versus analytical, or I don't know how we would divide it, but it sounds like there's a polarity here where it's there's good aspects of both of your approaches, and there's downsides of doing one versus the other with regards to if you only spoke before you thought, that there are minuses. If you only just said we're going to meet the customer, we're going to meet the customer, we're going to meet the customer, versus how does this work and what's the strategy, there's an interplay. I think what I've heard a lot is that there's a deep respect for the other person's mode of thinking, but I'm also wondering if it's sort of not just respect, if you've learned to sort of inhabit his way, or vice versa. If that makes any sense.
No, it's good. I think I think you have to put yourself in someone else's shoes, right? With any conversation, what's your story is going to all come back and say, what do I want this person to tell me in some way?
Yeah.
How do I build enough trust that they trust me? And genuine trust. That's the thing. I think there's, just to kind of close it out, you gotta be a good person to build a good company. It's very hard to fake being a good person now. And I think we've been sold a little bit of this lie from the current founders of these big companies that I can't imagine are that pleased with themselves and their current lives. And it's hard to fully admire them because of the way some of them have just kind of fallen from grace. So if you can be a good person, build a good company, and maintain some semblance of, it's not all about the money, and I think, lean into that. I like to build the Costco of B2B SaaS. Yeah. I'd like to be the company where it's like a corner deli. I go in, they know my sandwich order, or they just have the products that I love and want, and I have this association that goes, I love that freaking company, not because of the company, because of the people that they hire and what they represent.
It's not just the non-dippers, which are great at Costco. It's everything. It's the whole gestalt of it.
Exactly.
Well, that's you can't build a beautiful, a real company without being a real person. And I think that's a great place to close. Where we're going to put all the links, and people can go to TightKnit.
Yeah, TightKnit
Where do you like to?
I send people to our community. I say go to community.tightKnit.ai if you want to learn how to meet 1,000+ B2B SaaS community managers that are solving similar problems, getting started just like you. And that's where I send most folks, because my website is just static content, but my community is a dynamic place that is full of humans solving the problems that people want to solve.
Boom. Well, I think we can call scene. It's 11 o'clock. We've got some place to be.
Yeah, I got to jump to the next one, but thank you for having me.
Zach, thank you so much. This is really fun. I'm really glad we did an in-person chat. It's been a real pleasure.
Me too. All right.